I realized my boss was sabotaging me the moment he congratulated me in public and warned me in private. We were standing in the hallway after a team meeting, people still around, and he said loud enough for others to hear that I'd done a great job and showed real leadership. Then once everyone walked away, his smile dropped, and he leaned in and told me not to get too comfortable because people were watching my numbers. I laughed it off at the time, but something about it stayed with me. I'd been at the company for 4 years. Not a superstar and not a screw-up. Just dependable. I handled client escalations, trained new hires, fixed problems quietly so projects didn't blow up. When Martin became my manager, he came in confident and polished, always talking about visibility and narrative. He loved meetings more than results. At first, he treated me like an ally, but that changed once leadership started noticing my team's output. Suddenly, my ideas were interesting but never ready. Deadlines he approved became aggressive timelines I had proposed. In meetings, he restated my points as if they were his own and looked at me for confirmation like I was his assistant. If I pushed back even gently, he'd smile and say, "Let's take this offline," which meant never. The real shift happened during a quarterly review with senior leadership on the call when Martin pulled up a slide showing a sharp dip in performance and said, "This is what happens when ownership isn't clear." Then he paused, looked right at me and said, "Right." I felt my face heat up, and before I could answer, he kept talking, blaming my team for the miss and saying we needed to reconsider leadership structure. My inbox exploded afterward with coworkers telling me it wasn't fair and that I should go to HR. I thanked them and did nothing. That afternoon, Martin scheduled a one-on-one called alignment and told me I should start documenting my work just in case. He said it calmly like advice, but I understood what it meant. He was building a paper trail, and my name was going to be the problem on it, so I started documenting too. Not emotions or opinions, just facts, dates, metrics, and approvals. I saved emails where Martin signed off on timelines, Slack messages where he overrode my recommendations, tickets showing risks I'd flagged and he'd dismissed. I didn't confront him or warn anyone, I just worked and watched. 2 months later, a compliance audit was announced, routine supposedly. Martin acted relaxed and even asked me to help prepare since I knew the systems best. I agreed, and worked late every night organizing documentation. What Martin didn't realize was that audits don't care about confidence, they care about traceability. The week before the audit, there was another big review with the same leaders and the same tone. Martin opened by saying, "We'd identified ongoing performance gaps and put my name next to 3 red bullet points. One of them referenced a system change. He'd personally rushed live against my recommendation. I didn't interrupt. I waited." The auditor joined partway through the call with a calm voice and direct questions. She asked to see approval trails for recent releases. Martin smiled and said no problem, then looked at me like I was supposed to handle it. I shared my screen and pulled up the ticket, then the approval email, then the Slack message where Martin said we'd fix it after launch and to just push it through. I didn't explain or accuse. I just scrolled. The call went quiet. The auditor asked who approved the override and the system answered for me. She asked why risk flags were removed, and again the timestamps answered. Martin tried to jump in, saying processes were evolving and accountability was shared, but she just nodded and kept typing. After the call, Martin messaged me asking why I didn't warn him. I stared at it for a long time before replying that I assumed he already knew. The following week, leadership announced an internal review. Martin stopped making jokes and stopped scheduling one-on-ones. His emails became overly polite with too many exclamation points. People who hadn't spoken to me in months suddenly wanted coffee. Then HR called me not to discipline me, but to ask if I'd be willing to temporarily oversee the team for continuity. Martin didn't come in the next day or the next. On Friday, an all-hands email said he'd decided to pursue opportunities elsewhere, with no goodbye meeting or explanation. And his calendar vanished. That afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Martin saying I'd set him up and that I could have talked to him. I replied once that I did in meetings and he never responded. The next quarter, the performance graph was corrected. My name wasn't on any slides. No one apologized and no one needed to. I didn't get revenge or make a scene. I just let the story he was writing play out all the way to the end.